Probably the biggest update in Logic 10.5 is live loops. Now, live loops is almost certainly inspired by Ableton Live Session View, which is a non-linear way to trigger different clips, which means that you don't simply have to play in your regular timeline from left to right. Instead, you have a pattern grid full of different cells that can be triggered in any order that you want. So to get started with live loops, Logic actually does have a bunch of templates. So if we come up here to the File menu and say New from Template, so you can see under Starter Grids, here are a bunch of templates specifically for live loops. I'm going to choose the very first one here called Boom Bap Masher. So we'll choose that and that'll open it up. Okay, and as you can see, we are presented with this grid view. That is the live loops view. Now, if for some reason you're not seeing this, you can actually open this view up with this button right here. Normally, of course, you'd be seeing the tracks view, which is this button right next to it. And you can turn on the tracks view or the live loops view and have them side by side like so. All right, so you can choose which one you want to see. Now, there are some handy keyboard shortcuts for this. We could use Option L to show live loops, Option V to show the regular tracks area, and Option B to show both. Okay, so I'll just go Option L to show just the live loops area. So you can see here, we've still got our regular tracks running down these rows here horizontally, just as you would in the regular tracks view. And we can see that instead of having different regions on the timeline, we've got these different cells. Okay, and you can trigger these in any order that you want. Now, when you mouse over one of these, you can see a little play button, and you can simply click to play. So I could start playing, say, this piano, and I could bring in some drums. Now, if I want to stop, click it again to stop. Now, you notice that when I started and stopped, it didn't play immediately, or it didn't stop immediately. And that's because it automatically quantizes the playback so that everything stays in time. Now, by default, this is controlled with the quantize start up here, and that's set to 1 bar. But as you can see from the drop-down menu, you could choose some different options like 2 bars, or even note divisions like a quarter note. But I find the 1 bar generally pretty good. I'll just stop there. Okay, now as well as triggering individual clips here, you can also trigger a whole column. And a column here is called a scene, and this is how you would start building up an arrangement. So you notice here down the bottom, we've got these different scenes, and they're numbered, in this case, 1 to 23. So if I wanted to trigger this whole column here on number 1, I would simply click the arrow next to number 1. And if I want to play number 2, I'd click number 2. Now you notice that when I stop by tapping the spacebar, it stops the playback of the cells as you would imagine. But if I tap the spacebar again, it's going to just resume the playback. So that's one way to start and stop, is by using the spacebar. Now, notice it's actually not stopping the cells and that they're still sort of queued up. If I wanted to actually stop all of these cells so that none of them are playing back, I could come down here and click the global scene stop button. And notice that now none of the cells are actually playing. So that is a quick introduction to the live loops grid. In the next video, we'll get more in depth into how this all works.